debating with myself. So I have NPR on, or I had it on, and when I started logging on to do the YouTube, they kind of like went over and switched over to like, oh, is it Beethoven Symphony? It actually hurt my ears. It actually hurt my ears. The noise. Well, I have like high blood pressure. I think I have. Okay, I can't diagnose myself that way. I feel it. I suppose I can. Once you know yourself, I have books from places like Know Your Body and all these health, like home health books. Ooh, glitching. Well, I was on Twitch and the guy and my chatter was asking me where I stream on YouTube. And I'm like, you'll have to find it. You've been on there so long. Probably Ryan. I don't know. I can see Ryan like making good art. I was watching other live streamers and just, well, live streamers. I suppose if we aren't using or if we're like doing alternate personalities or characters and stuff, acting by the very nature of it is it a lie? So I titled this Words because he had a lot of videos of me using racial slurs. Yeah, that's the problem when it's like, who's it directed at? Who's it directed at, Ryan? That's the thing about like slurs. They do come back. Like, who you calling unfaithful? Who you calling this and that? If you're talking about, oh my goodness. It seems like I wonder if like the ancient civilizations experiences like the collapse from degeneracy, overpopulation. I suppose overpopulation. Well, what is it? Is it a number in itself, or is it how many people sharing a space? One of my chatters, I had the record for like I think I had 4 or 5 unique chatters that chopped in today. Well, there's some darker things that. Have you ever seen Sweeney Todd? You ever seen Sweeney Todd? Well, that's cannibalism. And the proclivity. There's a thing where the Donner Party is a famous case where these migrants, pilgrims, whatever the travelers are called, just relocating, trying to find just traveling. looking for a new home, gold rush. Well, they didn't make the pass. Like there was a decision: do they want to go? Do they want to go try to make it to California? And by that they meant down into the valley, because the mountains were known to get heavy snow, impassable snow. It's the Oregon Trail. Is it a horrible game? Teaches about like eating provisions and storing up on supplies, being ready for things like broken tire, broken wheels, things like that, and losing family along the way. So the Donner Party, I don't know what city in Nevada, current year Nevada, they departed from. The choice was: do they stay there for the winter, or do they try to make it to the to the valley? So they decided to make it. They decided to try to go past. They tried to make it to the mountain. And they got snowed in. And apparently they ended up. Well, they were starving, and this decision was made to eat the first one who died. Well, I think one of them had already died. You know, so they're sitting there and they have their dead loved one, and so they decided to eat them. In Nevada, and it became a scandal because eating human flesh. Oh my goodness. How are you? Oh, I'm still on my live stream. Texting with, yeah. Mm, I don't know, Jeff. Oh, I'm supposed to be entertaining you, aren't I? How's that song go, Billy? The world is a vampire sent to Jane. Seek and destroy something. Hey. Let's try how many people are like, I don't understand. That's a problem. That's not a problem if you haven't watched the same stuff. Like CW. That was amazing. Supernatural. The two main actors, I was like thought they were cast as CW as a well, they're really wooden. I could consider them wooden actors. However, if that's what the roles called for. Well, a lot of cultism in it. There's a lot of occultism. The Adventures of Dean and Sam. Dean and Ham. Dean's ham. Well, I'm hungry. I didn't have lunch today, but a lot of people don't get lunch. It's like the half the world's starving to death and half the world's eating themselves to death. That's what I heard. What happens when the one that's so delicious? I guess my friends always hated me. Well, there was one. It made him hang out with me. He probably would have had so much more fun not hanging out with me. I don't know. Then again, he was real lonely. I didn't get those vibes. He might have turned into. Well, there's more than just vampires. There's werewolves. There are cannibals. Um. Ooh, what was that? Oh, Gordon Fry. It's like a subliminal. Anyway, the flashes. I was showing clips of Darren Brown stuff. Who's that? Who's that? It's Darren Brown. I didn't have this glitch when I was doing this Twitch stream earlier, so I don't know. It's like there's a thing where I thought of it myself, and then it's like no, he put all those things in a subliminal message. This is no wonder. Surrounded by images, books, thoughts. So I bought my friend Dave, like dreamed. See, it's like the R. We haven't just the reason I call this word. Oh my god, because words hurt. Word. Word. Worship. Word. Did you? Word. War. I haven't seen that. I just remember that there were previews and scenes from like when animals uprise. Avatar. That was one of the big. Well, I'm not gonna say there were. The critics were. Some critics said this is just another Disney movie with the savior betraying his for the nature people. And at the end of the first Avatar, I haven't seen any of the others. I haven't seen any of the other Avatars. It was well, the natives of the planet, which are like, they're living their native lifestyle. They don't have technology. The Earthlings who have come to excavate and mine for precious resources, they have ships and they have other than the flying spaceship, we have excavators. We have all that same equipment. It's a mining camp because they're cutting through this forest to get this mineral in the dirt. And so the indigenous are like, what's going on? And they try to convert them. I think there's a small part where that they can convert them to Christianity or something. They're trying to. They have missionaries that work with the natives that help them understand the thing. Earth needs it. Apparently, the Mercs, they're kind of like, they're contractors. I don't really think they're any like. I mean, I have birds like. Sometimes they're friendly and seem joyous, and sometimes they're teasing me. And then we have kitties and dogs. Oh, have you ever seen Dial Dr. Moreau? It's a book. Well, anyway, what vegetarian animals? Vegetarian animals. That was one of the things, because he's turning the animals into his friends. Well, his people, his children. And one day, one of the wolf people like tastes blood. It's like a vampire, like Twilight Zone. Well, Twilight. Did I get a girlfriend after 4 hours? I was watching this. I was watching this. I was watching Destiny, and he was playing a clip of a guy who's trying to help guys get girlfriends in 4 hours. I've experienced that, bros. I don't know how courtship works. Doing Bible study. Then my Twitch stream, people were like, "You want to know all about my sex? Oh, you have sex? I don't know. I don't know. Probably. Are you married? No. No, people don't do that where I come from. Just called dating. The Bible says not to drink blood. Jehovah's Witnesses, other people, like they're against blood transfusions. It's like the. It's like. I was talking to my brother. We missed Dad. Well, it used to be we had. I got a lot of arguments with my dad. It was stress. It was stress. There's a thing if you look. It's called covert molestation, and it's not a physical thing. It's an emotional thing. And the psychiatrists, the people who try to study your behavior, say it's when an adult expects their child to understand and relate to them as an adult. I, I was like, the solution is you go get a job, Dad. How about that? It's like somebody telling me to go get a job. Well, there are a lot of other guys out there, women, and maybe that's the words, right? The words. Don't dwarf women look like dwarf men? Don't they have beards and stuff? I saw bearded, well, forms. So how they've led us to their destruction through our own lusts. They have these legends in various cultures. Remember the one about the pink dolphin. The pink dolphin is a being in the jungle who will appear to you. You'll see like a beautiful boy or woman or anyway. You'll see something beautiful, and you'll start following them in the jungle, hoping to have sex with them. My brother made a. Oh, he wasn't having a very good time, and he heard a girl crying, and he went and and they made. He told me she was crying about something. They made out, and so he like, yeah, he was so happy. Talking to my brother, he's like our last name. I remember for a long time our last name might not be our last name. And that's confusing to people who don't understand what a surname is or these things. Is it which culture has it where your father's name's first, then yours is second, or the family name is? Well, me and my brothers, we all have different names we go by. You know, we're a family. Families are held accountable. So there's like a pulled pork sandwiches across the street. Is that doxing? He gave a description. And then there's a Thai place down the road that I frequent, and well, drink the sorrows away, or just to be with the sorrows. Oh my goodness. The person who got me to open up my a Bible was Dr. Richard Bandler. I was watching him do a presentation, Wisdom of, no, was it Master Creed? Anyway, he reincorporated away from the NLP people. So I was watching this thing expecting a classroom. Instead, he just talked. He talked. Well, he had a line. He said, "Vanity, vanity, all is a vexation and vanity of the spirit." So I was like, that's really interesting. And so I went and looked up in Ecclesiastes, different translations of that statement. It's like blowing into the wind or stuff like that. Well, it's by the preacher or something, and it's and he just, there are things in there like what you build, someone else will simply tear down. You know, it's like all your plans. But having a good knowledge of the Bible, well, not knowledge of it or understanding of it. Well, my preacher, the pastor I go to, when I started studying at a church with the church community, he said Lot was written first. I mean, Job. It's written Job. So Job was written first. Job. Maybe that's why we pronounce it the book of Job. I mean, book of Job. It is the book of Job. Jobs. And does Job have a wall? I think Job does have a wall. He has a wall surrounding. He has pastures, cattle, he has such an abundance, and he has a wall. And then the wall's breached. Bad things happen to him and his family, his cattle, all these things befall him. And so the wall. I was with a hothead. I was with a real hothead. But we had a good time. He's like very extrovert, likes to go out, do stuff. And Yeah, we just have different personalities. So we were going. He would see fences and stuff, and he'd just start screaming about put the fence up, and keeping like all these barriers and stuff. The Bible echoes. Like I'm at this thrift store, and the lady had her Bible there, and she's talking about she's starting a class, or she's started studying with the people. She told me something really that just really struck me as really profound. She said yes, and it's true in every century. In every century. I'm thinking about that. Every century. Well, there's the Great Wall of Zimbabwe. Like, have you heard of a place called the Greater Zimbabwe? People who are like trying to oh, Africa doesn't have great monuments and these things, and they have, well, it's old civilization. And they're looking like who could have built. It says they had this wall, and it's the longest. I don't know how to compare it to Great Wall of China. It's not that big, but China built a wall. But we have in history, China is still like kind of there. So we have but this dark continent. That's what it's referred to. So what happened to Greater Zimbabwe? Great Zimbabwe. Well, their speculation was that like a colonists. It seems that way. Well, this definitely does keep families apart. Her dietary restrictions. For my life, the pig has been like tasty bacon. Other animals, I suppose. See, we have Hindus, and they don't eat beef. Well, they're many vegetarians, but especially not cow. It's like the cow to the Hindu or to the Indian, and the pig to the pig. We read sad books. Like most of the things I was assigned reading in elementary school and other schools dealt with sad. They was such a sad. There's one I remember, The Day No Pigs Would Die, and the entire thing is about like this farm boy, and they have pigs, and he starts playing with one of the little piglets. He starts playing with it. He goes, "I want this one as a pet," and his dad's trying to talk him out of keeping that pig as a pet. And because that's food. It's like, but this pig is his pet, and it gets bigger and bigger, and they just have a great time, and everything's wonderful. And one day there's problems. Like I think it's a Depression era book maybe. But anyway, if something happened and the farm, they didn't have anything to eat but that pig. And kids crying because you have to keep feeding the pig. See, the thing is, like, you eat the brain or pig, right? Because everything's so the pig is big, and they can't afford to feed the pig anymore. They can't afford to feed themselves, but they have a pig because that's what the pigs are raised for. So the kid's crying. It's his best friend. It's his best friend. And the dad just, I gotta do what I gotta do, kind of thing. And so they kill and butcher the pig. And that night at dinner, they're just, the kid won't eat it. They're just sad. Everybody's depressed. And so it was like, and so the farmer resolved, like, did the farmer resolve never to kill a pig again? Or Babe, Babe? That dude who was in the movie, he was a real farmer. And the making of the movie was just so, after they made the movie, he decided to become a vegan. Well, they're trying to kill. There's a thing in there where the goose is like, the farmer's wife wants to have the goose for dinner, and the animals are telling the goose, "Oh, she didn't cut your head off and eat you." He's what? So isn't that, if you don't know what meat is? So, I mean, could have been. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. So I was asking my brother if he's read Ecclesiastes, and it's a well, it's not a chapter in the Bible. It's a book in the Bible. It's book. The Bible's made up of many books, and so it got put it together as one big book. Many books left out. I was reading on a website. It's a book that was a book on a website that that back in the days, there were in Greek cities, in this Greek states and cities where they had education and stuff like that. There were tracks. Like there are different types of Greek spoken. There's like a high Greek, the academic, like the high Greek, and like street Greek. And so many people would like write these. Well, they would write write in the vernacular of the common Greek or street Greek, and they were called Celsus books. So it was in a language more comprehensible to the average person. And where these books came from, my brother asked me if Ecclesiastes is a Greek philosopher. And I was like, no, I think about it. Putting stuff together could have been, probably was. Well, a lot of people, especially when you get tracked with really important, like, I mean, what makes a person important? So they had, what did they have? Oh, claiming identity with another person who's like admired for one reason. Oh, that guy one of us. You just going through, hey man, you know that guy's Greek. No man, he's Jew. That's a Jewish guy. No man, that's Arab. You know I'm Jewish because it's like associating. And then people get in arguments over it. Yeah, I was talking about my Internet Movie Database program. I my Internet Movie Database profile, and there's really nothing on there. Just a bunch of pictures. Just a bunch of me, just whatever. I was thinking about putting my channels on here because other people have. The Gary Buechler guy has his like all his content. He has like ordered the episodes he considers his YouTube show a media worthy production of Citing on the Movie Database because arguing over a movie is so he has a I forget. Oh yeah, and I was talking about I was talking about the problems that seem to be going on, and it's like I just say credit thieves. Like man, they stole credit. It's like no, because I just recite stuff I've learned other places. The songs I sing when I make up my own lyrics are usually the tunes that I've heard other places. I suppose you have to get to the point where you gotta make me to lie down in green meadows. Have you ever slept in grass? I went outside, and it's one of the things that I'm very sad about is I was having lunch with my dad, and we were at a farmer's market, and so I had like I don't know chips, like lettuce, and or some just the stuff from my lunch. And I was gonna go throw it in the garbage can. My dad is like throw it on the grass for the birds. And he got angry because I was resisting, like there were kids running around, you know, it's like, and I didn't want to be rude. But he also has he wanted that, because of birds. One of I don't know the relationship between people and, well, my dad really had a very soft heart. And so feeding animals, like if you ever, once upon a time, like being an old person, just feeding bread to the birds at parks was something. That's why people don't want to have kids anymore. My brother who's able to talk, see, we there are three of us that we grew up together. I'm the oldest. I didn't start lying a lot for a long time. But after I had my first cigarette, I didn't necessarily lie. He would start bringing up cigarette smoking. And I just wouldn't like really say anything. I was like, I felt like middle aged because from our family history, surviving until 50, oh, so at 25, I was kind of panicking. I had my first cigarette at like 23, but I didn't like it. Sound like it was gross. I wasn't like, I'm gonna go out and buy another pack of smokes. No, that really didn't happen until I started really drinking. My brother, one of my brothers, who's like really bad in a really bad accident and can't care for himself. He was talking one day about, because he has philosophical conversations. He said, you know, they say that beer is a woman's energy. And I think about much alcohol. Getting plastered to a point of amnesia, it seems to be a man type of thing to do. Well, my cousin also, and I suppose women just hide it better, or whatever reasons. Because it's a man energy. I mean, it's a woman energy. I was thinking about bears and gorillas today. I've only really ever seen them on the nature documentaries. But one thing that stands out is like the usually you just see one bear and cubs, like a couple children, like gorillas. They say just don't move. The gorillas aren't they're strong and powerful and can't be by nature. They're just not mean. So I watched this. I saw this video, and all this they're hiking in Africa or someplace where gorillas are, and all of a sudden they saw this gorilla and a couple gorilla, and they froze, and I was like, just don't move, just do, like, especially with the little baby gorillas, and so this, I don't know if it's a mommy gorilla or the male gorilla, and so they're walking by, and these little gorillas, like, they start like grooming the hair, and they're checking out the people, and the people are just like kind of not moving because they ain't kind of aggression. The adult gorilla, ooh. And then eventually they just continued. They checked out the human animals and continued on their way. I think the bears are more standoffish. However, like they're very protective. See, that's when you're dangerous, when they, when their children are threatened. I was talking to a person who last year put on a production of a play called The Orphan Train, and it's like like a learning, can be used for learning, because it's like these trains would come out and they'd have a lot of children, orphans from the city, and whether they had a destination, a relative, or somebody that they're going to go get housed with. I'd have to watch it again, read the play. One thing, I don't beat up kids. I don't beat up adults, really. It just seems like a losing proposition. One of the things my dad did say when I got beat up, and these people are they know they're recording everything. Who? My coworkers. My former coworkers. So all accusations, so when people just start accusing each other of all sorts of things. So I lost my temper, and I said a slur. A slur is a word. Anyway. He wouldn't tell me though, but that was a thing. I just want to say, hey, I saw a video of you using that word. I didn't say anything to him, like in person. He just knows I'm upset and screaming. That's all people know about me, is I'm upset and screaming. My family was in really bad trouble. And it stems from, I guess we robbed the earth. Just by building a house, did you rob that space? Yeah, probably. How long does it take somebody to show up and say that's their land, though? Like the migratory patterns of people, animals. It's like we get chased out of places faster and faster and faster these days. The longest we ever lived at one place that I can remember would be like 83 or 84. I don't know. We had a place we stayed at for like a year. Then we had to move someplace less expensive. So we lived in it. We rented a house. My dad and my mom, she passed away. Like 5 years. Was it only 5 years that? So let's see. 5. When did they? not be able to afford it because I went off to the Navy. But I guess the only reason there's a Navy is there's a war or something. So like it's like they called it the Cold War. Wait, the Cold War ended with the Soviet, like, anyway, wards. So I was making kind of a scene and like just being rambunctious because I was like, well, I had an adopted daughter, and so I chose to follow like the life of my brother. He had a little daughter. And it's heartbreking because we can't care for them. We can't feed like for a temporary little bit. So my dad had three of us. My mom died, and he was able to keep the house with government assistance and family can support for or help for like 8 years. What year did he lose that house? Oh my goodness. Well, from mine up north, I don't know his life story. I really don't. Tell you tiny little bits and pieces. It's like I was gonna do this with my grandmother because I wanted to visit my grandmother more and get her stories, and then she passed away before I could actually start going there, and and getting the stories. They're fascinating. We had family get-togethers, and you'd hear the older people talking about what it was like in the 1950s. Uh, the downtown area. So one that was fascinating to me is that like in the maybe it was the 60s, maybe it was up until the 60s. Well, there was a time when like they'd be eating at the downtown cafes or the restaurants, and they had big windows, right? And was it my Uncle Roland or Uncle Rob? I forget which. Like my grandmother's. Yeah, we don't know them that well. But anyway, Roland or Bob. He uh he was telling me, or he was telling everybody. He was like, and because my grandmother would have been there also, and her mom, and so then they were eating. He said they're eating at a restaurant, and whenever like these bums, because there's a river walk area where the bums lived, dilapidated squalor, and if they wandered too far away from their Skid Row housing and stuff. Well, he said there's like they'd see like these disabled homeless people looking through the window at the diners eating, and all of a sudden a police vehicle would come out, and these police would start beating the bums and like throwing them in the back of the paddy wagon and drive off because they would ruin people's no, they don't want to see that while they're eating. I wonder it's just funny. I would find that really tragic. I don't know. Some of these bums don't want you to come back. So yeah, it was I just wonder if one of them was my dad's dad, my grandfather. He was an alcoholic from World War II vet, and I'm thinking like how many of those World War II vets, all television news, yeah, we love our veterans. That's the greatest generation. They went over, they get that to the Germans, they gave to the Jap. They're the greatest generation, yeah. And then as the things rolled on, like we have different wars. Well, that some wars when they don't do too well, that was a bad war. Let's go find a good war to fight. That's like the people on the television. Sometimes you get caught up cheerleading. You're like, yay. Well, me and my brother have agreed to remain bachelors for we don't know what's going on. Oh my goodness. The family discord by bad marriages. And then when you find out your spouse is a unfaithful person, cheater, like, well, how do we get this way? Maybe we're still being domesticated. I don't know. Well, I get a drink from the people selling the pulled pork. I'd rather go drink like sake. Yeah, I have people like, how can you still have money and spending money and drinking when other people don't? I'm like, come talk to me. Come talk to me. You get punished for talking to me. And police cruise around like they want, like they're like maybe he's still here. Well, I suppose we lost a war. You lose all the wars you fight. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So the night that I was severely beaten, and for not using bad language there, but that person knew. They have video clips. It's like kind of like there's so many video clips. It's that game. It's that Requiem for a Dream, where they have a person who sees on it. They're on a crusade, and so but this one, they show them old videos. Like, how long ago could somebody say it would they stop getting punished? Have you ever heard about Paula Deen? You ever hear about Paula Deen? Now, there was a time that it was known you don't use that word. But we didn't hear her say a word. They just found out. Oh my goodness, you know what they said? Well, so they're like, this is why. Yeah, yeah. It's like when you take a man's family and like do bad things to them and stuff, and like, why are you getting mad? You said you didn't care. You said this. It's like, well, I get that from these people, and it happens a lot. They rephrase what I said. You just said, and I'm like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't, Hillary. Hillary and Obama. Wouldn't that be funny? Well, it would make sense, I suppose. Well, Bill Clinton, they said, was our first, and if you define things by all these negative characteristics, then sure. They were the people, the leaders are supposed to be like really upstanding people, and well, when you have a playboy, when you have a philandering playboy, and it's really difficult to tell like friend from foe. Well, my best friend growing up, he married and is married into for a certain family, and it's worked out really well for him. He told me, he's like, he's a very honest guy. He's like, yeah, one of the best things about married to A is that she qualifies for jobs, like she can get state jobs and stuff. We couldn't. Oh, we could. My mother-in-law often tried to get me to, well, we have a new government position here and here and here, and it pays this much. I'm like, yeah. And that's like a quarter, that's like far less than what you get paid. She's older, been done a job longer. But I was like, yeah. And then you can like then you and the rest of the family can be, you get paid this much a month. You can afford to give me this, yeah, our family. We're supporting your brothers and your dad. And it's like, yeah, I know. I thank you for it. Truly. Do you know how much sadder that, like, shorter my life would have been if my dad hadn't, like, if he had become a homeless person when he was like my age. But I'm by myself. He had two teenagers. He had two teenagers. Young ones at that. So that's one of the things I think that's really, as people tune into the live streamers, it's so much laughter. It is so much gaggling, cackling. They are just having a great time. So that, okay, so I mean, yeah, sure, you don't have clips of them saying the N word. Stars and Stripes. Well, when I first got into contracting, they said there was so much money and troops and people moving around in the war against terror, that it was so easy to just not be noticed. Just hundreds of thousands, just their names on pay charts and stuff. And so they had a big scandal where people would get on planes, they go vacation in Germany, and meanwhile they're supposed to be working on a job site, but their job is such that they can just like get other people to do their work, and then they would just be disappeared for a little while. They found some living in Indonesia, like really inexpensive places, with those paychecks. So this probably was going down. Is that is that a lot of live streamers might be like dipping into funds that weren't supposed to be for sitting around live streaming. See, we've gotten to the point where we don't get vacation. We don't get, and they want more beatings. Meanwhile, the person who publicly is getting like praised and acknowledged is, well, so many of them. So many of them. Oh, that's one of the 22. Or is it 27? Back in the summer of 2021, out of, wait, were we already 6 months into the COVID? No, a year and a half. Was it a year and a half of COVID by then? Oh my goodness. See, where my position was when COVID happened, it was like this. I would talk with my friends. He didn't have a job, and anyway, he had like, we would talk about it, because it's like, this is like a movie. This is like one of those apocalypse movies. You know, the virus outbreaks and all these things. And are they lying to us about COVID? Maybe they just couldn't figure it out. So much chaos and clampdowns. Before that, people were beating each other, burning buildings, smashing cars, just like moving from different cities. Oh, it happened simultaneously. Like those types of things. That's not COVID. Those things weren't COVID. COVID happened, you know, a little while, and probably put a really big lockdown on that. So it's one of those things. So we had been in that situation where I lived. I didn't stream. I would watch streaming services. I watched a lot of TV shows, movies. My work, I had less work. It was harder to travel. So it'd be like, what are you doing today? Well, we only have flights or transportation to the next job site, so let's watch TV. Still had food, all this stuff, and people here. So there were a lot of people who would go on vacations or got locked out. So people would just couldn't come back, or that was their excuse. That was what they said. They were still getting paychecks, you know, because it's like it's no fault of their own if they can't get through the quarantine thing to get a flight and that type of stuff. And here we are, and I wonder if there's still like the people who didn't show up weren't there. We were supposed to have. I think my manager said they had 27 billets, like the mass. We're supposed to have 27 people at our job site helping us load up equipment and get things ready to ship out and close it all up and do work orders and keep things. So we were supposed to have 27 people, give or take. We had 5. There were 5 of us. And boy, the welcome home party. Well, I think people were still traumatized over COVID. And those 22 people who weren't there. That's what the laughter is about. We've lost our family members. Maybe they lost us. Is that it? You had us murdered and stuff? You erased us from existence so that our loved one, whoa, that way you can keep on using somebody else's paycheck? This is where we're at. This is where we're at, like an audit of the YouTubers and stuff. How can you afford this? I really can't. I'm just watching my savings go away. It was all war profiteering anyway. I told people that. It's like, what do you think? It's like, well, it's blood money. You know, it seems all blood money. You can't go out to the garden and help. You know, you want to eat, but you won't help. Oh, did you take the land? I was reading a description of the area that I'm living in, and it was talked about before the like the first like explorers out here, that there was, I think the census, I think they have numbers like 100,000 people lived in all of California. Last I heard, California was burgeoning at like 44 million people, from 100,000 in the 1600s, 1700s to 44 million. And there are people like, oh, can fit in like a lot more. Look at these other places that then they show these numbers of how many people live in different, and it is the number of people moving here. Well, the descriptions of it were such that they said the Indians that lived here, the natives, they would have gardens everywhere. It wasn't like a walled garden. It was just, they would have patches, and then as they traveled, you could get food. You know, they just travel, and there'd be food in the trees here or there, gardens. They'd fish, clean rivers, and so the first people came were trappers. I think they were like trappers. It's like hidden history of Russia in America. There's a place down south. It's an island. It's like Otter Island or something, and it was where Russian fur trappers had put like a colony. And I was reading a thing, 1849. The last Mexican governor of California. I don't know his name. Maybe that should be known in history books. Well, no, it definitely should be known. The kids with that heritage. Unless we just wiping out all history. So the last Mexican governor of California, actually it had commissioned a mission to be established north of San Francisco, and that was a Catholic thing. And the mission was to try to, because there was a big group of Russians migrating along the Alaska, all the coast. They were migrating down, and there were French fur trappers in Oregon. There was like an English startup company. So the trappers would get these animals and like send there for fur coats and stuff. Send them off there. And then the fur trap. So these were the people, but these are ones that are known to get along with in the historical books, because they're kind of like living the same lifestyle as the Indians, and they would trade little things. The Indians had furs. And then the lumber came. I think next was it the farmers? And then they started cutting the trees down, doors, building things. Farmers, like the farmers as we know, where they have big fence and pasture land, and it's obviously a farm, because they're not hunter gatherers. They have their animals right there. And then then the mining came. But one of the things that really ties it all together is more and more people coming to find Book of Job's jobs, life. Well, how many children could you fit in a house? How many children could fit in that house before you'd go insane? I'm gonna say it, it's insane. So you send them someplace else. We have that. That's one of the things that is known where I'm from, is that the polygamous communities, we call them lost boys. Is what the polygamists would do. They would take their horny teenage boys and drop them off, and they've never been outside of their community before. They don't even know where they're from, apparently. So there you go, and they would be let out into the world rather than fight over the girls. That's where I was thinking of the one of the church prophets or presidents talking about the desire for women to. The problem is most of our young men, they are not ready for marriage. They aren't ready for marriage. I was talking to my Twitch streamer about really intimate details. And when I was 25, I hooked up with a 17-year-old. The 8-year age difference. When you just do 17 and 25, 8 years. It was perfectly legal. Moral, no. However, the girls have been hooking up with older guys as long as I can remember that weren't me. So I was like, "Oh, I finally get to do this." And then I thought about it, and oh man, let's see. I made out with It really thought about it, because I made out with a girl once that I met online, and she had a kid at 17, and then she was like. Then at 34, she was really. And I thought about that. Well, one, I couldn't support a girl. I couldn't support a wife. I just couldn't. And then the emotional jealousies and stuff. Because I looked at her and I'm like, she's too good look. We live in that culture. She is just so from a different class, far. And so I was just thinking about that. Oh, I wanted to get married when I was. This is rough. So I had it, and I would have been like. If I had tried to marry her, going around and introduce, this is my fiance, she can't drink yet. We maintained contact for years. Well, she got married 6 months after I left. I had to go. I had mobilization orders. But anyway, she got married, and this connection with Facebook. 2007, I think 2007 when I was reading a story about how people were filing charges, complaints, and suing Facebook for allowing for allowing their spouse, helping their spouse have affairs, or for the exes to reconnect, because that happens. People, it's like this computer. It's like, hey, how you doing? Stuff people from another age we would have had no contact with. People from another age we would have had no contact with. That was where I was watching my nemesis frenemy. No, we've never used frenemy. But I don't want to use enemy either. I'm terrified. It's like cyber stalking. Facebook helps cyber stalkers. You put yourself out there. So some people want to have connections with people, but then people don't use their real names. It's like a phone book. Somebody was talking about it. Somebody they don't use a phone. Who uses a phone book anymore? Well, a phone book used to be by the telephone company. So every house that had a telephone line installed, they would have the list of the people whose numbers it was. And that would be like, we just have so many people and so much. Well, we. I see. That's one of the things. I thought you said only three types of people can use we: heads of states, the schizophrenics, and pregnant women. Member of a community trying to explain where I came from. I don't know. One of the questions was Jeff Epstein. You believe Jeff Epstein's dead? I'm like, dude, my brother's name's Jeff. And Jeff likes to go, just when he was younger, he was more vibrant, he liked to go to strip clubs. So yeah, my brother Jeff had a lot of stripper friends. He's very supportive, protective. You say, oh man, that's to charge. Is Jeff Epstein like, well, he wasn't convicted. They said he was turning girls into like hookers and stuff. He was selling. These are hearsay type of things. When I saw that what he was convicted was from solicitation of a 17-year-old girl, I was like, wait, they arrested him for soliciting an underage prostitute. But then again, at what age are you legally allowed to be a? So when they say that I believe Jeff Epstein is alive, I don't know if Jeff Epstein ever existed. I know there are a lot of Jeffs. I know there's my hotel manager, the person in charge of banquets and stuff. He's a Jeff. Do you think they have stuff that goes on hotels? There's a Jeff there. My one of our XOs in my NOSC, his first name's Jeff. He's like a firefighter. There's that Jeff. How many other Jeffs did we know? There's one, oh yes. And then there's like, I took a day trading class because I met a Curry woman, and probably a very good thing. She got me in. She needed more responsible, ambitious, but just instead of going out and partying on vacation, let's study on vacation. I was like, we're gonna study on my vacation. So we did day trading, and we learned the art of the Wall Street stuff. And that guy's name was Jeff. That Jeff had a really funny story. He was talking about back in the 80s when there was a lot of money. There's Wall Street is flush with money in the 80s, and they were just making like lot. And he said they had a really good week, and they went out. They closed up early on Friday. They took after lunch and said, let's leave. We had a great week, and so they started drinking. And then they went to the airport, because in those days you could get an international flight. Just you walk with cash and they'd sell you a ticket. He said they went to they got the idea to go to the airport and go to like Spain, Barcelona, someplace like that. He came to it like they're in a fancy hotel room in Spain. They had such a good week. Well. Their good week might be somebody else's, like, oh. So, oh my goodness. Just thinking of going to I'll wait till 5. So, like, if you drink before 5, it looks like you're an alcoholic. I'm just drinking every day, so it's like, it's true. It's true. I've got a problem. And it's just very emotional. I understand. We have to understand that people in our countries are not NPCs be blown up and cheered. Like just death of strangers and stuff. I mean, it's bad. I'm going to somebody you know. But how can I be sinless in that? That's product I bought and enjoyed. These war movies and these all these things. Somebody who didn't grow up in that would probably be horrified. You turn and they probably have mental breakdowns if they saw like the things that some of the media that I grew up like thinking was like awesome. There are some though. There is a franchise called Friday the 13th. It involved this. Well, the first one is in the 1970s, and it isn't who you think it is. Well, what starts out is it's a summer camp. It's a summer camp. The kids used to go to that. Their families would send them. They could afford it. Most people I know probably don't even know what that type of thing is. And so they went to summer camp. And there's this one boy. He apparently is a little slow, and the other kids picked on him a lot. So well, he drowned. He drowned. It was a death at the summer camp. What happened is the camp counselors is like they went because they're young. They're teenagers. These kids are younger. Usually it's like older teens and young adults and the teenagers who were supposed to be the camp counselors and watching the kids and like lifeguard for the lake. Well, they went off to shag. They snuck off to have premarital that. And so Jason, this little picked on kid, and he fell in the water. He drowned. So the camp counselors that were supposed to be watching and making sure he was safe, hours later, they're Jason, and he's just floating in the water. I don't remember if that scene's in there of them finding him floating. It's an old thing. Well, it's 1970s, and so that was a flashback, right? Was it Camp Crystal Lake? And so it's like years later, and the camp counselors, somebody's killing them. They get murdered. They're getting murdered well, there was a lot of the boobies and stuff. Maybe I can't remember. They sneak off to go be having like sexos and stuff, and they just like. Now I don't know if that scene's in that one because there's another one where you get to see Jason. No, anyway, at the end of they finally catch the killer. Who's been murdering people at the Crystal Lake, and it's Jason's mom. Sorry about the spoiler alert. And then the next one, that movie did so well, they made a new one, and they had, well, Jason wears a mask, because in the first one, I think it's so long ago that I've seen it. Well, the second one is where Jason's somehow still alive, or you don't know that, but you get it's Jason, and he's killing these kids. Little kids, young adults. And the reason I talk about that is I was reading this thing about this 1970s horror franchises. It was because a lot of the code against like sex and movies and stuff was going away as our society changed. Society was changing. It was acceptable. So more and more that was acceptable. These kids at camps going and having sex, that was acceptable. Then people didn't think anything of it. I think like most people, there are always those people. They're not always words. They don't understand. You said always. Well, sin. Now, some cultures, I understand they're open. Maybe, I don't know. Everybody's doing it, man. So he said there are these movies, because then there's Halloween. There's Halloween, and this one is like has an escaped lunatic named Mike Myers, who's like obsessed with his sister, And so it's all about keeping him away from his sister. And his sister's at house parties, and yeah. So he said that was a response to, like, as a tale about the consequences of promiscuity. There was I didn't know it at the time. One of my earliest camping trips with my cousins, we were on a campfire and they're talking about the legend of rickshaw. And rickshaw is this is late '70s, early '80s, and I must have been because I'm aware of it. And they're like Clickshaw, Hiram Rickshaw or Clickshaw, Hiram. It changes, but it's Hiram. And they're like, he got blown up in a mine accident, and so he fabricated, like, his arm. He replaced with a blade, and he made himself a leg with some wood and some springs and stuff. And you can hear him walking around in the woods, click shaw, click shaw, click shaw, because that was like the sound that his mechanical stuff would make. And they and Hans Lover's Points, where teenagers would go and they'd park their cars and look out over the city or desert. So they're over at a lookout point, and then guys would take their girls there, and they'd make out in the car, and they'd hear the noise. This has been told in other versions. This is one I remember. And so the girls get scared. It's, what's that? What's that? They all go find out. There's wind blowing. Boyfriend gets out of the car to look around. He doesn't come back. And she hears boom, and there's a tree. She hears like scraping on the top. And she goes, what is that? And she's too scared. And so when daylight comes, she finally gets enough, like, to get out of the car and look. And her boyfriend, the guy who was like in the car with her, he's hanging upside down from a tree, just shh, 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 shh. Is it true? I don't know. You know, the first prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint. His brother was the first president of the church. His name was Hiram. Oh. Because I almost want to go get that sandwich. Just so I don't like set. I thought you became a vegetarian today. Because then I have to eat vegetarian tomorrow. It's like maybe there's a guy out there. Wait, does he eat meat? Well, what are we gonna do with all those farm animals? It's a tragedy. Do those animals, will they be reborn as our children? Should we have any more children? What's the situation? Now I have no chatters today. I have no chatters on YouTube. I got 0 views. Wow, 0 views. Well, then again, there's a lot of live streams going on. There are a lot of well-established live streams going on. Unless they put a blackout on me. Is it because I'm the world's most horrible person? Is it because I'm the world's most horrible person? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I admit it. He said I never hurt anybody. I'm like physically? Like, well, I had 2 younger brothers. They're right to say that I bullied them when they were young, and we also had good times. I was twice as big as them. I can't bully them like that anymore, and we have issues. We're talking. They're adult men now. They're mid-40s, 50. Yeah, I'll go support that guy. All right, take care. 0 viewers. I know you're.